training camp still going on. The Cowboys and Saints have each been fined $500K by the NFL for multiple fights that broke out during Tuesday's joint practice. And Jerry Jones said the team's going to fine the individual players that were involved as well, as it's up to the team to decide how that fine is paid. Jerry was asked about second-year linebacker Donovan Ezeiruaku, who was ejected for the second time in camp.
Well, I think that you have to have consequences, and that needs to register. In other words, we all know, whether you're playing a game or out here in society, if you aren't sensitive about the consequences of your behavior, then you'll get brought to your knees pretty quick.
If Ezeiruaku does that during a game, he's fine, but apparently his owner of the team is going to fine him too. What's your reaction to that as our resident Cowboy?
I'm a little mixed on that. I'm a little mixed on that. We talked about training camp earlier, the dog days of it, the physical, the mentality, the competitiveness. And I get what Jerry's getting at. I understand, if it affect the team, I get that. But a fine in training camp from your own team, to me, feels a bit extreme for a fight. And fights have been happening in training camp for years. And now you want to find, I don't agree with that. But the $500K will change your mind about it.
You know what it is? It's the optics of what we just saw, because I love a good scuffle. I don't mind a little fight. I don't mind a little push and shove. I don't mind a little, punch, push to the helmet. That happens all the time. But you got guys suplexing people, tackling people, squaring up like you're going to fight somebody. That part's embarrassing. Right. That part needs to get fined and get out. You can scuffle. Emotion should be high. It should be intense. But there's a line that I think is crossed at times, and we saw that right there, and that's why the fines.
Yeah, this was a little, the body slamming was a little much.
Yeah,
it was a little much.
Yeah.
But no, these things happen. Jackson Dart, there were fights in the Giants-Dolphins joint practice. Jackson Dart said, we like it because we're trying to establish an identity. So sometimes if you're on the upswing, a team like the Giants, a team like the Saints trying to prove who you are, tempers are going to flare. A team like the Cowboys with a lot of veterans who are more established, they're probably going to take it a little bit easier. But I think this is just the nature of joint practice. You're going to have this sometimes. The fine, especially with players, is a lot.
A $500K fine is extreme.
Yes.
Is that what they're saying they're going to do?
That's what the teams are going to have to incur.
That's not individual players. Find the guys throwing punches because of how silly that is. Right? At the end of the day, you can get yourself hurt and put your team in a bad position. Everybody else, you don't want to be caught on film not scuffling when the fight breaks out. I think that's the other side of this is they're telling you to be intense, and guys are responding to that request.
Well, if it hits the players in their pockets, that might be the one way to stop fights.
Some of them don't have no pockets.
Very fair.
I agree with that.
And it's usually those ones that are fighting.
That don't have
because they're pushing the envelope in practice.
They're trying to figure out how to make a team.
Very fair. Fair point. All right, so speaking of sights, Vikings quarterback Kyler Murray a little bit on the smaller side at 5'10".
Whoa.
And his head coach Kevin O'Connell revealed that might actually affect the way he sees what's in front of him.
He couldn't see on a play, and he didn't want to tell me that, so he prefaced it with, I know I'm not allowed to say this, but, and, we both got a laugh out of it.
Myron, you got any issue with what Kevin O'Connell revealed there about Kyler Murray not being able to see over his offensive line?
I need to start a PR crisis firm for NFL coaches and just tell them, here's the thing you cannot say in this situation. You cannot say that your 5'10" quarterback can't see over the line. Maybe it's true. Maybe everybody in training camp knows it. Maybe Kyler Murray is telling all of his teammates he can't see. You cannot tell the public that that's the situation with Kyler Murray. Kevin O'Connell's too smart for that. He's seasoned. He's a veteran. Everything's going to be about Kyler Murray's durability, his size. Say anything but that. Your quarterback cannot see over the offensive line because it's only going to encourage the narrative about whether or not Kyler Murray's the guy, whether or not he's big enough in an era full of giant quarterbacks. Come to my PR crisis firm, Kevin O'Connell, and I'll tell you what not to say in these moments.
All right, so first of all, Kevin O'Connell might be the tallest quarterback in football, or excuse me, the coach in football. So this is a little bit of a flex by him. He's like 6'5", he's humongous. So obviously there's going to be a height disparity with his quarterback in the way he sees things. Having said that, it's true, Myron. Kyler Murray's short. He knows it. He knows he plays with his limitations. I don't hate this because it shows you that they know what the offense is. Kyler's not going to throw a ton over the middle. They're not going to try to throw, in situations where you would need height. They understand their limitations. Nobody's in the dark about this. I'm good with it. Honesty is always the best policy.
Can I tell you something that may surprise people? every quarterback makes throws every single game that they cannot see. And I don't care how tall you are. If you're 6'2", how big's the average O-lineman?
6'5", 6'6".
Yeah.
His center's 6'7".
Yeah, you're looking into helmets and into backs all the time. And because of practice and because of muscle memory, you know how and where to throw the ball on certain timing concepts. That's just a reality. Now, it is probably a few more throws for him, but it is common for every quarterback that's not 6'7". Just happens.
Myron, I get what you're saying, but I like this. I like the relationship building portion of it. The little hinted laugh. I'm big on communication. And sometimes this to me was about Kevin O'Connell and Kyler Murray's relationship and the things that he's trying to build going forward. Hell, we know Kyler Murray can't see over the offensive line.
But he's like, you don't have to keep that from me. You're my guy.
Exactly.
You tell me how I can help you.
And I'm going to disseminate that in the media, and I'm going to have a chuckle about it instead of saying, well, it's a concern and we're going to have to move the pocket and do all of that. Kyler Murray is 5'10". He's been short his whole football career, right? And coaches know that we have to acquiesce and work around that. But I think that was more about his relationship with his starting quarterback.
And what he brought this up, the reason he brought it up is because they were talking about Drew Brees and what he said in his Hall of Fame speech about being on the shorter end.
Yeah.
Struggling at times to see over your offensive line. And Kyler said, I didn't want to admit this, but in the game against the Giants, I couldn't really see over my offensive line. So private conversation that becomes public, which is, it's fine. It shows you that.
But it shows the confidence and the comfortability
in
between.
head coach, yes,
And
they're on the same.
you ain't revealing something we don't know.
That's family. Leave some stuff in the group text. That's all I'm saying.
I got you.
Okay, our last campsite takes us to.
Last year, he had 2 surgeries to repair it. All the reports are positive, but mobility is a big part of Bo Nix's game. I want to make sure that he's moving around okay on that ankle.
Jordan, what are you looking for here tonight as he takes the field?
Well, I'd love to see the connection with Jalen Waddle, right? We hear about it in practice. We haven't really seen a ton. We've heard about him burning Patrick Surtain downfield with his speed. I think that's going to be a great addition to this offense.
Movement in the pocket, short area quickness to protect himself. Job number 1 of a quarterback. As you know, Jordan, let's see if he comes back 100% from the injury.
Yeah.
How good does he need to be for them to get to the Super Bowl, given the defense they have and the upgrades they've made on offense?
I mean, as good as he's been, I don't think this is a guy that needs to elevate his game beyond where it was last year. If he's healthy, they may well beat the Patriots at home in the AFC Championship game last year. So they've built a great team around him. They're strong in the trenches. They get Jalen Waddle to elevate the passing game. There's really they had a great record of 1-score games last year, which always corrects. So that's the concern. But you look at their roster, there's nothing not to like.
Division, do you like him to overtake Kansas City and the Chargers here?
No, I like the Chargers. I think if the Chargers offensive line.
Shocking.
Yeah, I know.
Someone's got to do it every year.
Yeah, but
What could go wrong?
Yeah. Look, if this offensive line could just cobble together, and hopefully it does, we'll see what happens with Slater. I think Justin Herbert is protected. He has the most ability of anybody in that division.
The YPA for Nix was something to be not concerned about, but he wasn't taking a lot of shots down the field. Looks like Waddle's going to solve that.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the one thing. You add a guy that fits exactly what you want to be able to do. Stretch the field vertically, ball in hand type creative plays. So I love that addition for sure.
Justin Herbert has the most ability of any quarterback in that division.
I think this year his ceiling is higher because Patrick Mahomes is coming off of an injury.
Solely because of the knee?
Yeah, I absolutely. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be great again. I don't think it's going to happen in the first half of the season. Justin Herbert to me.
Amazing how quickly.
I just wanted to clarify.
Going back to that.
Like the best player we've ever seen plays in that division. That's not.
Excellent follow-up. The reporter and Dan Graziano. Mike T, back to you. What are you going to be watching for from Cam Ward this weekend, the second-year quarterback out of Miami?
Accuracy. Come on, Cam. I love you.
Man.
You were 5 of 12 in your first preseason game. That's 41%. That is awful. He's way too talented. They have way too much ability on this team. I expected it'll be a lot better this weekend. Brian Daboll, the new offensive coordinator, former Giant head coach, I am sure will put him in a position to get some easy completions to get this offense going.
Braz, anything you need to see from Cam Ward when he takes the field Sunday night?
Yeah, I mean, just piggybacking on what Mike T said, I was doing NFL Live with Orlovsky yesterday, and this was his point. Can Cam Ward make the easy throws? These are throws he shouldn't be missing, even in a new offense that he's still learning. So the performance has to be better. There needs to be a baseline that they can build off of. He had a strong finish to last year, but what we saw last week was discouraging.
Is Tennessee doing enough to put him in the best possible position to succeed?
Well, I think so. I like the hire of Brian Daboll, and I think he's going to get the best out of him. But to that point, when you see the inaccurate throws, you get a guy that for a long time in his career depended on having a generational type arm talent. So his feet didn't have to be perfect. He could be a little late on some throws. You saw some of those highlights. He was way late over the middle of there, almost threw an interception. His feet are all over the place on some of those shorter throws, which is why those balls are a little errant. So I just want to see him look more comfortable and be more in rhythm, and I think the accuracy will get there. But, yeah, you need to see it right there. You can't miss a ball like that high. I mean, you can't do that in high school, let alone the NFL. This one, I don't mind. You're trying to fit a tight window throw in there to Carnell Tate. Don't really mind that. But, again, you just don't feel like he's in rhythm at times.
He took a lot of sacks last season. Is it possible he's a little skittish back there?
Absolutely. That can happen. I can play into it for sure.
All right, Jordan, let's stick with you. The quarterback battle in Cleveland is another one to keep an